Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Steven Inks. Today, in the tradition we've had the last couple of weeks of talking about some pens that are not traditional fountain pens, I want to introduce to you the Yookers Eros. Now this pen, despite looking very much like a traditional fountain pen, is actually a Fineliner pen in disguise. We're going to look at what does that look like in the case of using this as a tool for creating art. Does it hold up? Could it replace your fine liners? Could it replace your traditional fountain pens? All those things and more in this video. All right, so here's what we've got. This is the Yookers Eros. It's a metal pen with a nice little clip that's pretty stiff, but loose enough to fit right here on the bottom, but it definitely feels really sturdy. It's got a faceted edge, if you can see how that spins. Very pretty. And that sort of minimalist design, I could compare it to a pen like the Muji pen, one of my favorite fountain pens. Definitely heavier, and it's got this kind of lacquered feel to it. The body of the pen doesn't really feel like metal due to this kind of enamel, is that the right? It's just painted on the metal, and it doesn't have a grippy texture like a matte finish, like you'd see on the matte finish vanishing point, or like a powder coated thing. It's more of a smooth, slick kind of texture. So it feels nice. It doesn't feel cold, which is nice because metal pens sometimes feel cold for me. And the similarities for the Muji pen also. Here, we're going to get the cap is going to post exactly on this end here, where you get a seamless post, which is really fun. I'm going to show you that in a little bit. It says Yookers right there on the pen. And Yookers does sell, I'm going to say lower level, but cheaper versions of this pen, so like plastic versions. And I think there's a couple other metal ones as well, some more expensive than this one and some cheaper. This is the mid-range. So when I open it, I can feel right here, there's a magnetic snap, which is really fun. And here's the nib. This is a 1.0. They have a 0.8, I'm assuming that's millimeters. And then a 1.2, and I believe a 1.4 is the widest one they have. I went with the 1.0 because I was trying to challenge myself by having a wider nib to it. These nibs are replaceable. We'll look at that in a little bit. But the snap on the end follows through to the back. So posted, we have a longer pen with just a seamless edge right there. That's beautiful. I really like that. So no complaints about the design. I really think this feels nice. It looks nice, and feels like it's not going to fall apart. So opening it up, one thing I will say, this little end right here that we get the nib here, and these nibs, they do sell replacements for them. It could stand to have like a rubber O-ring right there so that this stays tight. It's pretty loose like this, and I have had some experience with it rattling a bit, and then you tighten it up and it stays for a while, and then it rattles a bit, and a little rubber O-ring would solve all those problems. Yookers, if you're listening to me, I got an idea. Let me know. You can have it for free. Just give me an O-ring. All right. Pulling this out, we do have a standard international converter, and one did come with the pen, so that's nice. It did come with cartridges too, and again, the standard international size is what you get from it. I did have some ink in here, lovely orange from Colorverse, and you could see that the tip of this thing is dark. It's stained with ink. It comes white, but, you know, colors fade. And here you can actually remove the nib unit from this metal piece, but I don't believe that they sell this unit by itself. You have to get it with the piece that connects to your section, because all the different pen designs have a different connection. So unfortunately, you can't swap between those, which is a weakness in my opinion. But enough about those weaknesses. Let's get this pen back together. Let's get some ink in it, and we'll make some art. How about? So when the team and I were deciding what color we were going to use, I'm just kidding, there's no team. I do this by myself instead of having relationships with other people. When I and all the voices in my head were deciding what color to go with, we decided Delicious Sleep by Colorverse would be a great one. One I haven't used in a while, but one, as you can clearly see, which is very close to being used up. Let's hope that we can get a good fill, and I'll teach you some strategies for what to do with your partially filled ink bottles if you can't get ink out of it. So, just like all of our other fountain pens that fill with a converter, you're going to notice, and let's see if you can see it. Okay, it's dark, and there we go, with a little bit of focus. All right, right on the edge here, you're going to see a little tiny hole right there. I don't know if you can see that. And that's where the ink goes in. So it has to be submerged past this point in order to get ink through the converter. Let's just see what we get. Okay, looks okay so far. Okay, I didn't seem to get anything there. It's okay, we just pull back and do it again. I'm gonna try tilting it. We'll see if that gets us something besides extreme ink spill anxiety. I'm sorry if this is bothering anyone. I'm gonna try one more time, and then we may have to go. I think we're gonna have to go the alternate route for this one. I'm gonna grab my blotting cloth and just get this a little bit cleaned up here, and I'm gonna take out the converter and let's put it in there directly. See what we get. This is creating a little bit of an issue because I'm just gonna get ink all over my hands. I don't mind it. What we ended up with here is the twist mechanism goes a little bit further down below the end. So I did get some purple ink on my fingers. I'll survive. Anyway, with that being done, and sometime in the next year, this camera is going to focus. I just place it on the end there, and that should be enough. Let's see what we've got. Okay, since we were having a few issues with the nib being dried out, as I haven't used it in quite some months, we're going to try a tip that I got from a viewer of this channel for metal nib pens that dry out, because that does happen to them too if you leave them for a while. We're just going to submerge this in water, and we'll see if it works for this kind of pen. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. We're looking for the nib to run purple, and we'll see if that gets us what we need to get started. I'm just leaving it in there, sloshing it around a little bit, and then I might also just take this rag and see if we get any ink coming out there. I'm not seeing anything. This might not be something that works for these kinds of pens. Our other option is just going to be to let gravity do its thing and wait a little while till the feed gets kind of moistened a little bit. I did leave it dry in my pen case for maybe 6 months, maybe even longer than that, since the last time I tried to use it. So it might be that it takes a while for this thing to be ready. Let's see, if you notice, I just accidentally put it a little bit down below. I did get some ink coming out at that point. So I don't know if we're going to get anything out the tip here. Just going to try one more time to put this on paper, on the rag, excuse me, and still dry. And on the notebook, still dry. So we may need to wait a little bit longer. Well, I don't think that this has worked. So we're going to go back to the drawing board with this one. All right, so we did end up having the water method work for this. It just took a couple minutes for the liquid to soak up into the nib. I left it in the water for the exact amount of time that I showed in the video clip. Just a couple minutes later, I tried it and it was working. But I have a surprise for you guys. You ready for this? Maybe it won't be surprising if you know a thing or two about felt tip pens, but check this out. Okay, I don't know if you can see that really well on the video, but it's brown. So the ink is brown, and the reason why is because I had orange ink in there before. Remember me talking about it, and it mixed with the ink coming in. This is something you should be aware of, that this happens, and I knew this was going to happen because this is an old sketchbook that I was using before, and let's see if I can find the page where I had it. Here's an excellent example. At the time before, it was blue, and we transitioned into that orange color, and it's dark green here, and as I go through this drawing, it transitions to brown, and eventually it becomes orange. Couple pages later, let's see. Yeah, you can see there's a bunch of random sketches on here, but this is brown, and then it gets to be kind of orange. And as you're drawing, it just is a little bit of green over here. It just transitioned itself, and you had this kind of umbra thing. There's a bunch of really weird random things. I do not know what all these drawings were. Oh, do you like this? I never grew up. I'm still a 12-year-old. Kind of helps that I work with 12-year-olds as a teacher. I don't know what half of these drawings are. Anyway, that's kind of the issue. It's either an issue or a non-issue, depending on how you feel about it. I kind of think it's kind of cool. It's a limitation of this type of nib, though. So let's talk about how this draws. Despite the fact that this is a 1 millimeter, which is really wide, this doesn't feel unusable. And if you go with light, quick strokes, you'll notice that's actually pretty thin. In my opinion, this is totally workable for a drawing. It's pretty wet. It's smooth, easy to work with. It almost makes me miss Fineliner pens, even though I'm pretty happy as a fountain pen artist. I don't see a reason to go back to those, especially the disposable nature of them. But this is pretty fun. And you can put down a nice thick line if you push down a little bit. These nibs are replaceable, so I'm not too worried about them running out. I don't know if This company, Yookers, has been around for a while. You know, people can always go bankrupt, so you never know with a particular, like a very specific type of nib, if that's going to be something that's going to be around forever. It might be prudent if you're wanting to invest in this particular ecosystem of pen to get some spare nibs, which are available on Yookers' website. So, yeah, that's kind of what we get here. And I can actually already see that the brown is starting to get darker, which means that my purple is coming out. I kind of want to figure out if by the time I finish drawing with it, like doing an actual drawing for you guys, if we're going to end up with a fully purple line or if it's still going to have a little bit of brown in it. If this bothers you, by the way, just consider that maybe this is a pen that always takes the same ink and you wouldn't have this problem. So I changed the colors a couple of times, mostly because I was curious about it. And I think that also the fact that I have this channel and I have the reach that I have, I kind of owe it to you as the people who tune in to watch my videos to test the limits of the things that I have. But if I wasn't testing it, and again, like this doesn't bother me, I actually kind of think it's a little bit cool. But if it did bother me, I would definitely just pick a color, like maybe black is a color that's very useful. And I could use that color only in this pen or another color that I really, really like. So I just keep using that color or colors similar to it, and then I would get a consistent result. But consistency-wise, we really are looking pretty good. I feel like this pen has got a lot of consistency. The flow is good. And the line weight is pretty good. 1 millimeter seemed very thick to me. And for context, this is a Copic multiliner. If you are familiar with Pigma Microns, those kind of disposable brown colored pens, this is similar. It's a bit drier than a multiliner. And the thing that I like about this is that I can actually replace the ink cartridges in these, and I have replacements for this. I've actually got a full set of these, something that I'm considering making a video about, but I have not used these Fineliners in quite some time. So let's see if it draws out of the box. And this is a 0 point, let's see if we can get a little bit of focus, a 0.5, easier to read when it's not upside down. I've been told that reading upside down is actually a really hard skill for a lot of people. I'm a teacher. I can read upside down and backwards and forwards and in circles and loop-de-loops because I have to. But there we go. Anyway, so if I'm looking at these lines, yes, they're thinner. But if you were to say we were going from 0.5 to 0.0, this here should be double the size of this, and that's not what I'm seeing. So let me just cap it. Love that capping mechanism, so cool. It's like maybe in some of these lines it's actually the same, it looks the same to me, or just slightly thicker. So when it says 1 millimeter, and this is the second smallest, there's actually a smaller nib size at the point 0.8, which I don't have here for this video. Maybe I might consider getting one for a future review, maybe one of the other models for Yookers. You're not looking at exactly like double the size of a multi-liner from a different company like a Copic, and I'm sorry I don't have the Pigma Micron to compare it to. I didn't feel like it was worth it to buy one because I knew I wouldn't use it. So, interesting. Let's get a little bit of art advice. All right. You only get good at things you keep doing. It seems simple, but if you really hate the process of getting better at drawing and you hate all your drawings and you don't like the things that you do to draw, if you're drilling or going through a book or you're taking a class that's just not enjoyable, you only improve if you continue doing it. So what are you going to do to get yourself to continue doing it? For me, it's seeking enjoyment, drawing things that I enjoy, things that are fun for me. Challenging things, sure, but start from where do you find joy in things? What sort of things do you like to make? And very soon you build a skill set that's very unique and specific to you. So consider that and consider how this pen draws. Okay, side note, which has very little to do with this pen. Potatoes are good for you. I don't care what the diet people say. They're delicious and they're filling and you'll be fine. Eat some potatoes. Also, this pen draws pretty cool. I liked it. I don't really have anything else to say, but enjoy this potato because potatoes are good for you. So I'm showing you the drawing up close. I don't normally talk over this part, but if you'll notice, it never turned purple. So I'm kind of curious, how long would it take for it to turn purple? So let's do a little experiment in time-lapse mode and see how long it actually takes or if it will ever actually happen with this fill. Kind of want to find out. All right, so about 8 minutes and this much lines later, you can see a subtle shift in color over to the purple. This is still not quite, it's a little bit desaturated from the regular color of the ink that I used. I can just recognize that because I use this ink a lot. So probably another 10 minutes or so, or this many lines or so, we would get it. But again, if this bothers you, this pen is not for you. I kind of think it's cool. Final thoughts? For this pen, there are a couple of little quirky things to it. I may even add the O-ring, like I was mentioning before, right to these threads, and I think that's something that should be included as part of this pen just to keep the tip from wobbling. The design of the pen itself is really good. It's a really fun thing to hold. It posts so nicely. The magnets in the cap and the end are awesome, super cool. I actually even found that the 1mm size nib was pretty comparable to a 0.5 on something like a Copic Fineliner. So do with that what you will. You could go a little bit finer with the 0.8, and that's something I might explore in the future. As far as the ink and how it changing colors gives you that kind of umbre effect, I kind of love that. And I really think that it's really easy to get around that if you don't like that, just use the same color. So it is not a fountain pen, but it is an interesting little anomaly. If you're looking for something unique for your collection, it might be worth checking out. Thank you for checking out this video, and I've got more videos coming soon on the subject of fountain pens, both traditional and non-traditional. Really happy to have you along with this journey. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more content like this. I'll see you in the next one.